What is consciousness? The live stream of consciousness is on a quest to unravel the mysteries of existence. Every episode, we ask the fundamental question that has captivated human minds for centuries. Is consciousness merely a product of our brains, or does it connect us to something greater? Explore the very fabric of our thoughts. Don't miss a moment. Expand your awareness and tap into the boundless potential that resides within you. Welcome to the live stream of consciousness.
Yes, thank you, Jesse. Welcome to the live stream of consciousness. Welcome to another attempt at approaching our boundless potential. This is the live stream of consciousness. I'm Michael Zinn. I do this every week. I feel like I've watched some shows that I should follow the pattern of explaining to you guys what I do, and that you can come here every week and enjoy these great conversations. Even though you guys know this, I tell you this all the time. But it's a place of intention. It's a place of focusing in on the moment and being present. So I appreciate everybody who's coming by and saying hello. I saw Helen and Tim out there saying hello. Hello. And Helen is saying hello to the guest, which I haven't even introduced yet. But I'm excited for tonight because I have a guest on the show who is somebody who I met and admired, and kind of, you meet some people and you're like, oh, that person's cool. And that's it. And you see them once in a while and you're like, oh, that person's cool. And on Facebook, we make friends and we talk about each other. We say hi to each other and stuff. But I met this guy during when I was doing the Women of Armageddon calendar. We've talked about that here before. And what's up, Jessica Kalushin? I see you out there. And we met at one of the comic book conventions, and he was there because he was a professional wrestler. He's a comic book character. He's a comic book writer. He's so many things that I want to talk about. So I'm so excited to talk about him and bring up his website and all the history that we have together. I think I've done what I'm supposed to do, introduced my show, talked about who I am and what we're going to talk about, started to introduce my guest. So let me bring him on and welcome him to the live stream of consciousness. Welcome, Brimstone, to the live stream of consciousness.
Hey, finally, Brimstone is here. The live stream of consciousness, hanging out with Michael Zinn. Super stoked and excited, brother. It's been a long time coming. I know that you've asked me to do this show for quite some time, and I'm finally able to make it happen. And I'm thanking you so much for having me here.
And I'm thanking you for being here. I know, doing my research and my due diligence, I found out so much more about you than I even knew. And I'm excited to talk about all of those amazing things. It just really validated the idea that I wanted to have you on the show. You're not my regular kind of guest. I talk about spirituality and I talk about kind of very low key kind of things, and you're a high key kind of guy.
Should I be more zen?
No, you're great. I love it.
Bring down my energy just a little bit, just a notch.
No, you should be who you are, because I think that's what I found out about you, is that I think you will relate to the things that we talk about here, and consciousness and spirituality and energy. Really being aware of what energy is and what role that plays in all of our lives and our existence. But this is the live stream of consciousness, so you got to play by my rules for a couple of minutes here.
I'm playing. Listen, positivity breeds positivity. This is a positive show, and that makes me happy. So let's make it happen.
Absolutely. Grace Grell is out there. Hello, Grace. And Tim is saying bienvenido. Tim is my loyal viewer in Brazil, so he's always bringing that international flavor. I'm excited about having him here. So the question I got to ask you, Brim, I'm going to call you Brim for short. Sure. I love Brimstone, but I'm going to call you Brim. What is consciousness? What is consciousness to you?
Being aware of your surroundings, being aware of who you are, being unapologetically you. And that's pretty much one of my mantras. If anybody who follows me on Instagram or follows any of my interviews, they know that I'm always unapologetically myself. And you're either drawn to it or not. I like to believe, as I mentioned before, I like to put out positive energy, and if I put out that positive energy should be coming back to me. And I do it not because I have to, it's because I want to. Being in entertainment for so many years. I know you dug a little deep. I've been in entertainment since I was 5 years old. I started on Sesame Street in Romper Room, and I've been going up until
Over
now.
40 years, folks. Over
Yeah,
40
still
years.
going. I've been SAG-AFTRA since 1980. How
Wow.
ridiculous is that?
That is it's beautiful, dude. It's wonderful. I commend you on the beautiful life that you've led.
Appreciate it. I
Yeah,
appreciate it. You know, it's just, you know, anybody who follows me knows that I always try to put positivity out there. I want everybody to know that they can, if I can do it, you can do it. If this one can do it, you can do it. Don't worry about what other people have accomplished and what they're doing. It's not a competition. It's never a competition. It's all about bringing yourself up and believing in yourself. And, you know, again, being conscious of who you are, where you want to go, and how you need to accomplish it.
I love it. I love the message. I love the energy. This is wow, man. You're pumping up my show like I didn't even expect. I'm really loving this. That's awesome, man. So to the rim with Brim, Grace is saying she's our resident boom. She loves music. She loves these little sayings. I love having her here. And Helen is saying, 1980 is over 40 years ago. Yes, my dear.
Yeah.
It's
I'm Asian. It was kind of when the dinosaurs were roaming the earth, and I was you know, riding around on Dino to get to auditions. And I'm just kidding. It was. Let me tell you, man, it's been a long, hard road, and people think that entertainment is so easy, and you know anybody can do it, and it's a game, and listen. I work 10 times harder than the next person. A lot of people go to work, they work a 9 to 5, and then they're home. They don't have to worry about work. That's it. They're done. They have weekends to themselves, nights to themselves. I work 24/7. I work with people all around the world. You know, whether it's for this, that, the next thing, I'm always going. I'm always on the move. And you know, when you speak about burnout is a real thing.
Sure.
So you have to learn how to take care of yourself and how to balance all the BS that goes on a day-to-day basis. And in order to be healthy in the mind and in the body and in the soul, you know, not just physically, but mentally, you have to be able to you know, be able to continue to do all these things and not make yourself crazy. So, you know, it's not easy, man. It's not an easy gig.
It's not, especially with, you know, I didn't even want to get into this deep conversation yet, but especially with the world around us kind of like telling us certain things that we're supposed to be doing, or I think rules we're supposed to follow, or ways it's supposed to be, you know, and that, as well as just trying to be ourselves. And that's what I love about what you said. The whole idea is you are here to be you. That's the only freaking reason you're here, right? So you've got to kind of figure out who you are and be it with a passion. And that's again what I love about what you've done. You know, we've had guests on the show. I've had this woman named Sunshine, and she literally is sunshine, and she created who she was, right? And I feel like that's very similar to what you did. You've created yourself. You've done the ultimate thing that we're here to do, which is again why you're here. So there's one more question before we start talking about all the amazing things you've done, and I would love to hear how you went from this kind of wrestling dude, which I'm going to bring up some pictures, I'm excited, to who you are now, because it's just there's such a noble feeling in your character and in your energy and it's very authentic. And I think that's what's cool about your message, and again, why I'm drawn to you and why you're here on this show. But the question is, I always ask, like, if there's a moment or an experience that you had that you can share, that you kind of knew there was something else besides everything that you're talking about in the human aspect. But like, have you ever had an experience with something from the other side, a spirit, a loved one, energy that you couldn't explain?
You know, I'm a big energy person, positive energy, negative energy. I've dealt with both over the years, many times. In terms of, you're talking about energy in terms of something that has made me want to pursue something, or just energy in general? I could tell you a real fun story about energy, but I don't know if it's where you want me to go.
I guess what I'm asking is, have you had like, I don't know what your thoughts are on the metaphysical, like, psychic mediums and people who, sense energy in a different way,
Oh
and
yeah,
you know,
I sign at a lot of the different paranormal conventions. I was just at Warren Con in Connecticut. What do you call it? There are, and I will be. I can't say where I'm going to be, but I will actually be making some appearances, doing the guest thing on a couple of paranormal shows
cool.
going into next year. So yes, I do believe in the paranormal. I do believe in a lot of things that you can't see. Have I had any experiences? Yes. Do I want to get into them on the show right now? No,
Okay, that's
because
fair.
it'll take quite some time. One
Okay.
thing that was absolutely sick that I did see that I if I didn't see it with my own eyes, I would have never believed it. But at the Warren Con last year, there was the Conjuring mirror, the actual Conjuring mirror, and two girls were taking some video of it, and they actually got they got something in the mirror, and you see it clear as day because
Wow.
they took it. You know how they have those live videos, not a live video, the live photo.
Yes.
So you
Yes.
can't edit a live photo.
Right.
So when they took the shot, they took it. It looked like a still, but when you hold it down, it showed in the background a head coming out
Ooh.
and and
Oh,
coming
that stuff
in,
gives me the chills
looking, and
sometimes.
going
Yeah.
out. It was insane. You could probably find the video online. I have the link to it somewhere. If I can find it, I'll send it to you. But yeah, I mean, I've experienced a bunch of different things that I think are insane. And if you believe that you're on Earth and there's nothing else out in the entire universe, there's no other life out there, then you're just foolish. I mean,
That's real. That's what I was asking at, and I kind of felt like there's so much that's 3D based about you and the human experience, right? Like, and
Mhm.
and that's a great thing. There's nothing wrong with that, and because again, you've taken the human experience to what it's supposed to be.
Mhm.
You found out who you were,
Mhm.
and that's who you are, and that's what you do. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You are what you do. Janice is out there. She's the quiet healer. She said that gave her the chills, and that gave me the chills too. I was talking to I think it was Jesse earlier today about that there are certain things that you see like that videos that are supposed to be paranormal, and you're just like, whatever. But the certain ones that you see, just you react to. You're just like, oh my god, like what was that? Like that was
Oh
it's
yeah.
an energetic reaction. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that's fair. That's what I wanted to ask you, that even if you believe that there was another layer after this
Oh yeah.
human thing.
Well,
um
the whole premise, a very big premise of the Brimstone and the Borderhounds comic book and cartoon and all that jazz is that there is life after death, and that everybody that is born, they're being bred for the afterlife, which is heaven, hell, nirvana, valhalla, because energy never dies.
mhm.
So once you die, your mortal coil might die, but the energy, where does that go? And that's a very big part of the Brimstone and the Borderhounds lore. So yes, I do believe in it.
Awesome.
There's a lot of people out that are fake, that they do it for the show.
Mhm.
But there are a lot of people that are very, very real, and I've witnessed a lot of them, and firsthand, and I can say it's crazy. It really is. It's
Awesome.
if you don't see it with your own eyes, some people are like, "Eh, I want to learn more," and that's why I'm doing the guest spots where I'm doing them. So
Cool. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, and I think part of why I started doing this show was because I personally was meeting a lot of people with different metaphysical modalities, spiritual psychic mediums, astrologers, and I was never really like into that stuff, quote unquote, but
Mhm.
everybody I was meeting, I really resonated with. People who channel. I don't know if you're familiar with channelers.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, and there's certainly a time where I was just like, these people are out of their minds.
Oh yeah.
But then, like you said, you experience somebody or something that just resonates, and you're just like, whoa, what was that? You get a chill in your
Oh yeah.
bones, and there's something that makes you know that it's the real thing.
I've
Um,
seen things and I've heard things. I will say that where I didn't believe it going in, and I certainly believed it going out. So
Awesome,
yeah.
awesome. So then we are on a lot of the same page. I want to switch it up, and I want to get into brimstone mode. So we're only 15 minutes into the show, and I think we're going to get into brimstone mode. I want to talk about you. I want to give you the spotlight. You're just kind of one of those people who I feel like this is why I do what I do. I produced shows for a couple of different people, and it's because I like Grace Grella, who's a psychic medium, you know, and she's here, and we do a call-in show, and you know, it's just amazing the energy that goes back and forth, and how positive it is, you know, and what's behind it, as well as whatever, just a couple of things. So I just want to bring up your website, because this is where I went on my journey.
Hey, that's
and
me.
found out everything about you. This is great, by the way that you present it, and even what I just said. You're kind of like, hey, here's your guide to how to experience this site and the journey of this guy, which I love. And man, what a journey it's been.
You got to minimize, got to go down, I think, to 90%, because there we go. There we go.
Okay.
There you go. That makes it a little easier for you to see.
Right. I see. The navigation was getting squished.
Yeah, the navigating the wasteland, is that what I'm assuming that's what you're talking about?
That's exactly. So where am I going to find that? Hold on a second. Let's see.
Yeah, the navigating the waste, I think it's under scriptures.
It's down here. Yeah.
You can get to it from there too.
Yeah.
You know, the reason why I did that is because with 40 years of history, I'm one of those guys that likes to say, you know what, this is what I've done, this is what I've accomplished. If you don't wanna, you know, believe me, maybe you'll believe, you know, what you see. A lot of people like to be Debbie Downers, and you know, like to sit and throw stones, and you know, and think that I haven't done certain things. Well, the proof is always in the proverbial pudding.
Right.
So, you know, if you can't find it online, which I'm very, very Googleable, but if not, you can always go to my official website and you can see so many different things. But there are so many things, because I've done music, I've done wrestling, I've done comics, I've done this, I've done that, television, film. There's so much voiceover, you know, where do you start? So I tried to put it in there, and I kind of went with the whole, you know, the line of For Dummies books. So I wound up going with the Brimstone for Dummies, and
I love it.
And I built this out, believe it or not, over the years, and I completely rebuilt it when I rebuilt the site about 3 years ago.
Okay.
I took it and I did the entire site myself. I was sick of dealing with people that were you know, trying to do the site for me and not getting the updates. I like to be on point. I need my things. This is my business. I need my business to be constantly moving and constantly flowing. So if I don't have access to it, it is not efficient, and I need to be a well-oiled machine. Therefore, I said, you know what? I am getting rid of everything else. I'm not, you know, going to have somebody else doing this for me. I'm going to do it myself. And I wound up going onto Wix. I figured it out myself, and I built the entire website. And when I was done with I built my website in about a week. Once I was done with the website, I built the Grindhouse Radio's website, because I wanted that one to look, you know, good as well. And
awesome.
That's
I love it. I love the energy. I love the determination. I love the direct involvement with everything you're doing. Helen is responding, I think, to something you said earlier. She often questions if she's out of her mind.
No.
The chat is a little bit behind sometimes. But yeah, let's can we go through this? Can we talk about who you are and like where this all goes? So I think your bio is it shows a couple things, but I think wrestling is probably right where you started, or I guess
no. I started early, Sesame Street and Romper Room.
Okay, so is that
before
here
wrestling
on the site though? Is that something? Okay.
If you go into bio, oh no, I don't have a page for that on the site. Is that what
I didn't see that stuff.
Yeah, no. I know that on the bio page, if you go to where it says Brimstone under bio and you click on that, I believe there to the right there might be a picture scrolling down of me on Sesame Street. Possibly, if not, you know, I somewhere. But
this is fun for me. This is worth exploring. I love your website. I love love the fact that like I feel like you embody like, you know, what we all should strive for, which is creating ourselves, you know, and being ourselves and making a living as ourselves, because we are who we are, you know what I mean? And that's just what I find so beautiful about this. So I don't see the Sesame Street picture, but
so the first thing, if you wanted to go to the first thing that I did, you know, after Sesame Street and Romper Room, when I got really into entertainment, is I went to school for music, and I was a drummer for many, many years. So if you go under media and you go down, you'll see music is in there. You know, and if you scroll down to music, you can click on that. This is actually the first time that I've ever had this on the website. So you've got
Wow.
some of my old music from Who's Laughing Now, Bugsy. These are a couple of my the popular bands. We were, you know, Long Island bands, you know, and we did a lot. There's some video down there. What do you call it? You know, did a couple of rap
This is,
songs.
you know what? This is funny because remember I said I have a question for you and I'm going to leave it.
Yeah.
I explored a lot of your website, but I must have somehow missed that because I'm like, man, the only thing I haven't seen this guy do is like fronting a band, because I imagine you as the lead singer, you know, fronting the band, but you've done music as well. This is amazing,
Yeah.
dude. I'm super kudos to you for this brilliant life. And it's cool. I can relate to you as well because I've explored a lot of different things. You know, I don't think I've been quite as focused as you, but I've been in bands. You know, I've been working with independent film. I did my own calendar. I've done things for myself. You know what I mean? The calendar project was a big, a great lesson in life about, hey, you can do anything you set your mind to, right? Because that was the first time I got a box at my door with the calendars, and I opened it up and I was like, this is what that saying means. This is what that's been told to me my whole life. I never understood it until now. You know what I mean? And that's just such a great thing. And I look at your stuff and I'm like, wow, it's very similar, but like your whole life is that, you know, like there it is. It's
you just got to make it happen, man. That's it.
Happen.
You know,
exactly.
Make it happen. I grew up. I mean, anybody here who's from Long Island may or may not know the areas, but I grew up, you know, in Uniondale and in Dix Hills. So I lived with my mother. My parents were divorced. I lived with my mother in Uniondale. My father was in Dix Hills. I got to go to, you know, and again, Uniondale was very middle to lower class, and Dix Hills is the rich area.
Yeah.
So I got to go and see, you know, the best of the best, you know, once a week, you know, and every other week on weekends. You know what I mean? And then, you know, for a couple of hours if we went there.
Right.
And, you know, and other than that, I was the only white guy, or one of the only white guys in the school. I shouldn't say the only, because I've got a couple other white guys that were there as well. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, that's what made me me. You know, you know, I grew up, I was all hip hop growing up. Wow. I wanted to be, yeah, man. I wanted to be a comic book artist, which I didn't become an artist, but I did become a comic book character, and I did become the celebrity spokesperson for Stan Lee's foundation. Stan was a friend of mine.
Yeah, I want to talk about that stuff too. Yeah.
But you know, everything kind of comes full circle. Absolutely. So I wanted to do all the comics and all that jazz. But then I found my first love was music. My first love was to be, you know, was drums, and you know, I wanted to play the drums. But when I was playing, it was all hip hop, because I grew up with my friends from Leaders of the New School, you know, with Busta and Dinko and T Brown, and you know, Houdini was down the block. LL Cool J's cousin was down there. I saw LL all the time. I used to work at the Friendlies that used to house like every hip hop act used to come through.
So
there.
Wait, so we don't have to be specific. I don't mean to interrupt you, but we don't have to be specific. I grew up in Dix Hills.
There you go.
What high school did you go to? Which high school?
I didn't. I went to Uniondale.
Oh, you went to okay.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't get.
So you were
it would have been west
on the weekends, right?
It would have been west. It would have been Half Hollow Hills West, I believe.
Because I was going to say, how did we? I mean, we're probably close in age. I don't know, but
my brother, my half brother went there. And,
okay, gotcha.
So what do you call it? Yeah, no, I mean, so at the end of the day, we were on Bayard Drive. Do you know where that is?
Right. Yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay. So what do you call it? How old are you?
I'm 57.
Okay. So did you know the Danas?
That sounds.
The Danas were on Bayard.
Yeah.
And then my stepbrother and my stepsister, one of them's around your age. The Kornfeld was the last name, Bruce Kornfeld and Lori Kornfeld. And you might have went with
vaguely familiar,
with one of them. So you know, and they all lived out there, but I lived in Uniondale.
Wow.
You know, and then my mother my mother didn't want me to go to the middle school because there were a lot of problems at the middle school, and I was like, I'm not gonna have a problem. I'm friends with everybody. I'm good. And she insisted and then she went and sent me to, because I'm Jewish. She sent me to an all Jewish school called Liberal Jewish Day School. And I went from going to an all black, you know, and Hispanic school, and me being the only, like the token Jew and one of the only white kids, to an almost pretty much all white Jewish school, which was
great.
very, very small. And everybody there was like into metal and stuff like that. So that's where I got into metal, and I got into my first band, which we called it Spitfire was the first one. I'm sorry, no, the first one was Private School, obviously, because we were in private school.
Oh, that's cool.
And then it was Spitfire, and what do you call it? And after that, and funny enough, and I don't do politics, but what do you call it? My one of the guys who I went to school with, who was in Spitfire with me, is Andy Wilkow from the Wilkow Report. So if anybody is into that, so and I am not, and don't want to talk politics, but we just bumped into each other not too long ago. Haven't seen each other in years. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's crazy how him and I were the only two that continued in entertainment.
Right.
But anyway, so I was all hip hop till I went there. Then I was metal, and then I went to college. Then the school was closing down, and I went back to Uniondale. So I went there for another year, and then I went to 13th grade. I went to Nassau Community College, and from there, I was in the band. I got into serious music, and Who's Laughing Now, and we were pretty big back in the day. We played with Biohazard and all those guys.
Oh, that's awesome. So
I'm friends with all those guys, them, Life of Agony, awesome. All those guys. I don't know how it's going to play, like if I play the video. So I would love people to explore this on their own, and I'm going to explore this later, because that was the question I had for you. I'm like, man, the only thing you didn't do was music, but you have done it. And that, to find out even that was like your first love, that's awesome as well. I love that. I miss music tremendously. The problem with music is, what do you call it? It's a 5-way marriage. You know what I'm saying? So, and there's no way that you're all going to get along all the time. And I wanted something bigger and better for myself, and I understood the need for marketing, and the need for guerrilla marketing, the need for branding, and the guys that came from the wealthier areas were like, oh, I just want to live in a van and van life, and we're not selling out, and blah blah. I said, all right, you go do that. None of them are doing anything now, but that being said, that's where I was, and that's why I said I got to get out of music.
Gotcha. No, that's what I am. Just to tell you, I'm loving this story. This is great. I'm so happy I invited you on the show. I feel like I'm like, ooh, that would make a good short. I know social media is driving people crazy this way. I'm like, ooh, I got a clip. But I just want to tell you again how appreciative I am of your time, and also now of you sharing your story. So what was next after when you got out of bands? Was that when you went into wrestling, or?
Yeah. So the wrestling thing, I was at the time. So I also was very involved in sales and marketing. And I've worked for every major publication here on the island at one time or another. And at the time I was working for the Long Island Voice, which was the sister of the Village Voice. It was Andrea Stern was running it, which was the, Mr. Stern, the guy who owned Village Voice. It was his daughter, is the pet project. And, I was working for them, and I got a call from Andrea, and she goes, "Can you do me a favor?" I said, "Sure. What do you need?" She goes, "Well, I know that you do a little bit of everything, and I know you're interested. You like wrestling, because we all talked about it around the water cooler. And what do you call it?" And I dabbled in photography for a little while, and I'd been published in photography. She had asked me. She said, would you mind going and doing this little wrestling thing that's happening at one of the VFW halls? Can you go with Bill Jensen, take some pictures? So Bill Jensen, a lot of people probably know Bill, because Bill is huge now also. He does a lot of different things. I was like, yeah, sure, at the time, yeah, whatever you need. So Bill and I went down and wound up going and taking pictures of all the guys for him and the gals, and wound up meeting the people that would then become good friends later on in life. Cool. And one of those guys was the Iron Sheik, and rest in peace, Sheiky. And Sheik looks at me and he goes, "You look like you could be a wrestler. You could be a wrestler. I train you." And I was like,
wow. That's like, amazing. Oh my God. The Iron Sheik comes up to you and you're a wrestling fan, and he's like, "You could be a wrestler." That must have been an amazing moment.
Yeah, and now I know years later he was working me. It's what we call a work. He's just trying to get me to train. But
Right, right,
I'd like to think that he actually thought that. But
right. I love this.
he what do you call it? He was very adamant. I'll train you, and then his agent at the time, we called him Snapshot Eric Sims, and he's still in the industry. He represents a lot of guys in the business,
Wow.
and and I still talk to him every so often. Matter of fact, I just texted him maybe a few weeks ago to say hello. But Eric starts talking to me, and he goes, yeah, we could, again, working me. We can either fly. You could either fly out to him in Georgia, or he could fly him out and put him up here. And take him. I'm like, whoa, calm down a second, hold on. I don't know about all this. And
Right.
what do you call it? And we were just talking, and another person who was there was Bret the Hitman Hart. And anybody who knows who Bret Hart is knows that he is, a legendary human being. And Bret overheard the conversation, and he knew I was there with the publication, so he knew I wasn't a mark, a super fan. And he pulled me to the side. He goes, listen. He goes, hey, do you, if you're really interested in getting involved in the industry, he was on his way out. He had to catch a plane. Here's my email address, old school AOL email address. Email me, and if I can be of any help, I'll help you out. It's like, right. I appreciate that. And I've never heard of him doing that. But I'm sure he did it plenty because, his family trained so many of the boys. So I took it. I was like, wow, this is cool. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
I was going through a wrestling publication. I saw an ad for a new school that was opening up in Queens. And I was like, well, Brooklyn it was Queens at the time. And I'm like, the Doghouse? This is interesting. Let me send a message to Bret and see what he says. So I said, hey, do you remember me? Yeah. He said, this is what you look out for. And I said, okay. I went down. Funny enough, with any Long Island people who remember Hostile Intent, Chris, who was the singer of Hostile Intent, was my tag team partner, my original tag partner, and him and I went down to check the place out, and the rest is history. We're Doghouse Originals. I mean, a lot of names came out of that school, and what do you call it? We were Doghouse Originals, and you got guys like Homicide and Low Key, and Amazing Red, and I mean, just so many people. And then I went out, and I wound up opening after that, after I trained there and started touring, and then I opened up Critical Mass Pro Wrestling, and with my other tag partner, Mike Mayhem, and somebody else who I would rather not talk about. And what do you call it? The fact of the matter is we brought it to another level. At my height when I was there, I had over 50 students.
Wow.
So a bunch of my guys have gone on to go to WWE and TNA and so forth.
Yeah. I mean, you worked with some great people. Ninja Kitty saying Stu Hart was a kick-ass trainer.
Incredible.
I just want to acknowledge Tim, also our Brazilian affiliate. He grew up on Long Island, and he said, that's so cool. As he said it, I remember seeing Who's Laughing Now open for Biohazard.
Yep.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah. It was great. I mean, back in the day, man. I mean, and that was when Long Island was a hot spot for music.
Yeah.
We had everything here on the island. But not just the island, Manhattan. I mean, we had Continental, CBGB's, Arlene's Grocery, all that jazz. And and here on the island, I mean, there were places to play all over the place.
Yeah.
And for Who's Laughing Now, we opened up an industry.
I remember
for the band Red Belly, and Red Belly was signed to Mercury, and Mercury came down and they offered us a deal. Wow. And and the guys in the band were jackasses. Well, two of the guys in the band were jackasses, and they didn't. Oh no, I'm not selling out. So we wound up not being able to take a deal. Yeah. We lost it, and that was when Kelvin, the singer, and I decided we're done with this. Right. And then the band kind of broke up. And then, like an ass, I wound up getting back into the band into Bugsy with a couple of the guys again, and we did it again. And that was when it was just it worked out real well. We got huge, and that was more ska punk. And like I said, one of the guys wanted to live in a freaking van. Like,
right.
All right, cool. At the time, I was I was married to my first wife, and I had a kid coming. I was like, I'm sorry, I need to make money, man.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, like it's not gonna happen.
And you know what? It's not like that's not an honorable way to want to go through life, but you got to be on the same page, especially if you're in a band. Like you said, it's a 5-person marriage, you know, and I think managing one person's career is much easier, you know what I mean? And
Oh yeah,
you know, like you said, you wanted a little more for yourself. You became the band, you know. You are the
yeah.
band. You are everything. That's awesome.
Well, that's why when I went into wrestling, I knew that even though I wound up doing the tag team thing and the faction thing, I was only responsible for myself.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know, and the when you first start training, and I know the question's probably going to come up, so I might as well answer it now. Where did the name Brimstone come from and why? And you know, and when I got into wrestling, like I said prior with the music, I knew that branding was such a huge deal. And that without proper branding and something, a strong name, you're limited. You're very limited.
Right.
So I wanted a name that was going to be not only powerful in the ring, but also powerful thereafter. What can it be after pro wrestling? Because you can only do that for so long, right? So I don't want to be 60, 70 in the ring and still be bumping around. That's why I focused on other things. And that doesn't I love everybody who's still bumping around at that age. My knee hurts, my shoulders hurt. I don't need to do it.
Right.
You know, that being said, the Brimstone name back and forth from Long Island to Brooklyn, because we moved from Queens to Brooklyn. We had an hour drive every day there and every day back. So I'd go with first like a couple thousand names, got down to 1,000. Brimstone was still there, down to 500. It was still there, 100, 50, 10, and it was always there. And I was like, this is it. This is my name. I went and looked up in microfiches at the library to make sure nobody else was using the name.
Wow.
And we didn't have the luxury of Google then.
Right.
And you know, and so we wound up I took the name, and I've been Brimstone ever since, and I own the name, I own the trademark on it, and you know, that's me. That's my persona.
It totally is, and it seems so authentic. It's like you decided that that's who you wanted to be, and you became that. You know, it's perfect. And Tim is saying he doesn't think Flair is ever going to stop.
No, yeah, and you know, it is what it is, man. You know, I love professional wrestling for what it was, not necessarily for what it is now.
Right.
I respect everything. I respect any of the boys and the gals that get into the ring and do what we do. You know, I just you know, there was a limit to it. Don't get me wrong. If the deal was right, I would definitely do something again. I'd get in the ring.
You hear
if the
that?
deal was
Anybody
right.
listening? If the deal is right.
If the deal was right, some people might not necessarily want to hear that, but if the deal was right, Brimstone will come and whoop some ass. And not only, you know, not only would I could. So you know what I mean? I'm ready, willing, and able if I need to. But at this point, it's not something that I need to do. And it's not, and people have asked. It's just for me to take a booking and to take away from other business that I do. It's got to be worth it. And if it's not monetary for my pocket, it's got to be monetary for a charity. You know, because I do a lot of philanthropy. So I have no problem if I was doing a big ticket deal and it was going to a charity. That would be fine too.
See, that's great, and I love the way you kind of turn that conversation into that. So let's talk about some other directions that you went. So, and I love the way you diversified who you are and what you do. You said you had a love for comics. So I think this is kind of when I met you. I think this is what you were doing when I met you was Hound Comics. Should I go earlier, or is that where you started comics?
No, you could do that. You could do that.
Okay.
So yeah, Hound Comics was it's a story. Everything's a story, and everything kind of intertwines into itself.
Yeah, that's why you're here. Let's hear it. This is what you were talking about earlier with Stan Lee.
So with wrestling, again, I needed to take a break. I needed to take some time off, and I was trying to make a decision of whether I wanted to stay in the business, get out of the business, what I wanted to do. And like I mentioned earlier, you know, the Brimstone name has legs. What can I do with the character and the the persona outside of professional wrestling? And what I did was I said, well, I've always loved comic books. I've always wanted to do comics. and the Brimstone character is a really cool character. I'm old school gimmick type of a character. And I was like, I'd love to take this and become a comic book character, because what are wrestlers? Wrestlers are real life comic book characters. They're real life superheroes, right? They get in the ring, they do big things, they beat the crap out of each other. Well, it's the same thing superheroes do.
They have
So I
fancy
figured,
outfits.
yeah, I figured, this would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I wound up flipping it into the Brimstone and the Borderhounds comic book. And we launched in oh my god, I think it was 2005. 2005, 2015, 2005. I can't remember. I can't. My dates suck for me. But what do you call it? Might be in the writing somewhere. But we launched first in Borders Books. Remember Borders Books when they were around?
I do.
So we launched there with the first issue, and we did a signing in Borders Books for the release. And what do you call it? And after that, Borders started closing down. So we pulled from Borders and we re-released in all the Barnes and Noble and B. Daltons around the country.
Oh, wow.
And that was not because we had to, it's because we wanted to. I had to show that the cojones were big. This was a mark that I had to make in the industry to show that we were coming to play. We were the only, at that time, independently owned and operated comic that was sold in every Barnes and Noble and B. Dalton in the world.
So let me back you up for a second, or let me slow you down. Because that, I mean, is that an undertaking you took on yourself to get the comic book in those stores? And is that something you could tell us, like, what was that like, how you did it, or is that too long, too much secrets?
There's a lot to tell. It's not that difficult to make things happen. What it does entail is having the financials to make it happen. Because in order to put your books in those type of stores, you have to be able to print those books to go in all those stores. And if they don't sell, you don't get the money back and you don't get the books back. So it's basically, if you don't have the advertisers and the people spending the money on advertising to help print the books, it's a losing situation. Except for the fact that was my advertising. So that was my advertising budget, is putting them in those stores side by side with Marvel and DC and IDW and Image. And we were right next to each other. So there were no other comics there. Couldn't get anything else. That was it. From that, what do you call it? Stan had taken notice. Stan and I met at Steel City Comic-Con years ago, and he came to my table, and his right hand, Max, who was awesome, was like, hey, Stan would like to talk to you, and brought him over, and the two of us sat, and it's the first time we met, and we hit it off. Who would have freaking known that I'd become friends with Stan Lee? And
how crazy
after that, for years back, and his whole crew, oh my god, Darren, Yuka, Max, I mean, just everybody used to go out to Pow Entertainment in LA and just spend time, in the office and sit and chat. And what do you call it? There's nothing like sitting in Stan Lee's chair. You know what I mean? In his office.
Awesome. Yeah, that's got to be cool.
It's just ridiculous. And the energy story I was going to tell you earlier, if there's time and you want to hear it later.
We still got over 15 minutes. We're good.
Okay.
This is an hour show.
Okay. Well, that's a long story, but that has to do, and I'll tease it. It had to do with Stan Lee and Carrie Fisher. So what do you call it? If you want to hear that story, I could always tell you that story.
Yeah, man. That's perfect for the show. I think it sounds like it is.
So I just want to make sure I answered your question before I go to the next thing, because I'm going all over the place right now.
You know what? The live stream of consciousness. This show is all about, again, the moment. And we did my business. You told me what you thought. I knew we were on the same page. I knew that we resonated with a lot of stuff. So the floor is yours, man.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
So you want to hear the story? All right. So, Stan used to tell me. He'd always have me come out and do his show, which was Kamikaze, which was out in LA. It's now the LA Comic-Con. And I was very good friends. I'm friendly with a lot of people from Star Wars. Peter Mayhew, who's Chewbacca from Star Wars, passed away a couple of years back, and Angie, his wife, just passed last year.
Let me stop for 1 second. I want this story, but Grace Grella, before you even mentioned Star Wars, said The force is with you. You didn't even
Well,
mention Star.
I did. I mentioned Carrie Fisher.
Oh, you did. That's right. I'm sorry. You're right. The force is with you. That's why she said that. Okay, but then you go into it.
Now, and by the way, and I skipped over a big part of Hound Comics. Peter is the reason why I incorporated and built it into a corporation, Hound Comics Inc., Hound Entertainment Group, because Pete and Angie I hadn't seen in years, and I saw them at an event. I think it was like Gotham something in Manhattan, and they saw what I was doing with the comics and my kids' books, and they go, Brim, would you be interested in publishing, Peter's books? Because we've been trying to get a good publisher and so forth. I'm like, well, I mean, I was kind of just putting out my books, but I mean, if you need help, I'll help you. It's fine. They're friends of mine. Right. And what do you call it? And they're like, well, also we know this one and this one who want help too, like a Disney person here, a Nickelodeon person there. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess it's time to incorporate. And then
it's amazing how
the universe by accident.
Isn't it amazing how
yeah. That's I became a publisher by accident. But that being said, I know a lot of people from Star Wars, and I'd never met Carrie Fisher. So what do you call it? It happened to be at the show, and again, Kamikaze Stan would call me up every year. You could get me on the phone, and Stan would go, Brimstone, pal, want to come down with old Stan and sign at Kamikaze for me? Come on, old pal. Yeah, sure, Stan. Every year, no problem. And I would go down, and I get to see him for a little speck of time whenever I was there, and we hadn't seen each other in a minute. And Max came by and goes, hey, Stan would love to see you. He hasn't seen you in a while. I was like, yeah, I wanted to see what the schedule was. He goes, actually, what are you doing during this time? And this time, he's going to be over at Photo Ops. You want to go over there? I was like, yeah, sure, I can get down there. And I was looking at my schedules, and I was like, yeah, I can get down there. And I went down, and sure enough, Stan was in there. But this was one of the only times that Stan was alone. Stan and I have we have very rarely alone in a room together. Okay. Stan's energy. I wanted to talk about energy. Stan's energy was so incredible and strong and positive. He was in his 90s, and the man could move like better than half of us, in our 40s and 50s. You know what I mean? He had such charisma and presence up until his final days, and I don't want to talk about that. Right. But what do you call it? I had seen, I walked in, and I was like, hey, Stan, how you doing? He's like, hey, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. And, I came in, and I had to be a couple minutes later. In walks Carrie Fisher. Now, I'd never met Carrie before. She was coming into, I guess she was doing photo ops around the same time. And Stan Lee introduces me to Carrie Fisher. Now, that's got to be the crazy. I find myself in some of these situations sometimes to go, what am I doing here? Like, I've done a lot of stuff, but like, this is Stan Lee and Princess freaking Leia. Right. Now, again, I've been around long enough where I don't fanboy. That's not my thing. I don't care, but I do respect work, and I do respect energy. And when she walked in, she was like such a ball of energy and positive, crazy, but positive energy. And the two of them together, she gave me a big hug, blah, blah, blah. So nice to meet you. We have mutual friends, blah, blah, blah. And, and it was so much energy between the two of them. I actually had to excuse myself. I had to leave the room. I said, guys, I really appreciate the time, and Stan, it was great to see you. Carrie, pleasure to meet you. I definitely I've got to head back to my table. I got to sign again. And, so nice to meet you. Blah blah blah. I'll see you soon. And I left the room, and I was like, holy crap! Like, it was just like a wow, that kind of energy, that positive, like, just insane feeling with the two of them there. That's why they've done such huge things in their lives. That massive balls of energy that I'd like to think that I have as well, but compared to them, it was just I submit.
But I think the way you describe it is that energy is based on loving people, right? I mean, it's like, and again, that's kind of what we talk about here. The more you focus on that and do that intentionally, you even said it, the more it comes back.
Oh
You
yeah,
know what I mean?
absolutely.
And you become that person. So and not to take you off the story, but I do want to talk about. There's so many things I want to talk about you. This was part of this charity work, right?
Oh yeah.
You did charity work for people doing these signings. You weren't getting paid to do it. You were just
No.
doing it for charity or whatever.
Mhm.
However that worked. And then you also mentioned in there some other things I wanted to talk about. So I just don't want to kind of cut you off because
I have time.
yeah,
If you want
okay,
to go
good,
late, I
good,
have
good, good.
time.
Okay,
I'm not in
good.
a rush.
I wanted to respect your time. So
No, I'm good.
okay, so then before we move forward, is there any like you met Carrie Fisher, you had to excuse yourself? Was that basically the end of the story, or
So that was the first time and the only time that I met Carrie.
okay?
One of the last times that I did get to spend with Stan. But here's the kicker. When they both passed, a picture came out of the two of them 2 minutes after I walked out of the room. And that was the photo that people
Wow.
used in the media. So had I stayed in that room, I might have been in the picture. I don't
Right,
care that I wasn't. I'm just
right.
saying, like, I looked at it and I cried.
There was an
I cried.
energetic
I cried.
signature to that moment. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
There you
cried.
go. Holy crap, that's
I saw,
amazing.
and just knowing that I was there, 2 minutes had to be 2 minutes
Oh,
because I knew
dude,
when
that's a great
Stan
story.
was going to take a picture. He was going to start his photo ops, and I was just like, wow, that's unbelievable. So yeah, I did when I saw it. All the feels came in. All the feels
Wow.
came in. I am very emotional guy. You know what I'm saying? I'm a tough guy. I
I see
sure
you
as
were
hell
just
am.
almost there, right there. You were just right on the
Yeah,
end there, almost.
I am a tough guy, but at the end of the day, if a true man can also emote
Yeah,
feelings.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And
yeah, yeah,
the fact of the matter is that love is, it's better to love than hate.
yeah.
So
Totally,
yeah, that's it.
totally. I think I agree with you. I think a true man recognizes that feeling is a connection to your soul. You're like connecting at your soul in that moment, and that's
Oh
why
yeah,
it becomes a physical thing. It's like your throat lumps up, you're just like, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. But it's real, and it's great to process that and let it come through. Awesome.
absolutely.
So that's a great story. Tim, I just want to acknowledge some of the comments. Tim met Stan back in 79 or 80 when he was 5 or 6 years old, a huge Spider-Man fan from birth, basically. Which is cool.
Stan was a great guy.
Now I want to mention this, also acknowledging Tim. I don't know if this might be something sticky. This might be good. I don't know if you're friends or not. But Tim was talking about what you were talking about with music and wrestling. You got into music with Fozzy first, then started
I
his
didn't know he
comic.
had a comic going.
Oh,
Yeah,
there you go. Okay. I
I
didn't
didn't know
know
he
if
had a
there was a
comic going.
rivalry or something like that. So I didn't
No,
want to.
no,
Yeah,
I think Jericho's great. I think Jericho is fantastic. Him and I met never in wrestling. Funny enough, never in wrestling.
oh,
What do you call it? We met the first time briefly in Manhattan. I can't get into that because that's another whole story, but we did meet briefly there. But we met in, I think it was like San Antonio, Texas or somewhere. Both of us wound up doing, we were both doing media. He was doing a media tour because he was in town with Fozzy, and I was doing media because I was signing at an event locally. So the two of us had been down, doing the tour of all the
wow.
networks. And that's where we met, and we had a great conversation. Stand-up guy, really pleasant. We have a lot of mutual friends. We've never bumped into each other before or after that. I'm sorry, after that, and I have no issues with him. I think he's
Cool.
a fantastic, talented guy.
Yeah. Cool.
I didn't know he had a comic. I didn't
Yeah,
know he had
no,
a
I
comic.
didn't either. I didn't either. I just, and then I saw that, so I just. But listen, and again, I feel like you're the kind of person, and you're saying it right now. It's like there's enough success here for everybody. We can all be successful. It's not a competition.
It's not a
It's
competition.
about lifting each other up and helping each other get to that point. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. There are
So
plenty
yeah,
of people, and they know who they are. I've lifted a lot of people in the industry over the years, in all various industries of entertainment, and you know what I mean.
yeah,
Uh, well, the entertainment industry, I was like, in all different areas of the entertainment
right, right,
industry,
right, right. I got you.
and I do the right thing. The problem is, a lot of people start believing their own hype, and they forget where they came from.
Mhm,
I never, ever, ever, ever will forget where I came from.
mhm,
And that's what it comes down to.
mhm,
And
mhm.
people come back later on in life and, they, hey, how have you been? Remember me? Yeah, I remember you. Good to see you. And I'm not holding any beef against you, but
Right.
like I
Yeah.
remember. I'm
I
not
remember.
stupid. I
Yeah.
remember,
Right. And too. You know who you are.
Yeah,
Yeah. Absolutely.
but it's
No.
all good.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's all good. I love that. And so here's something that I found that was one of the surprises pleasantly for me. And you mentioned your first marriage and you had a kid on the way. So how many kids do you have?
I have 3.
3 kids. Awesome.
Mhm.
Well, I was really pleasantly surprised to see the Border Pups,
Yeah.
which is a series of kids books. So tell us about how you got involved with kids books from the comics.
So the kids books, the reason why I did the kids books was because a lot of the parents that were coming to see me and a lot of the conventions and so forth, they had young kids. And
Mhm.
one of the things I've always loved to do with my kids over the years when they were growing up is I like to vibe with them with, the things that I loved when I was a kid and the things that I was growing up with and the characters that I loved. So my son and I would always enjoy Spider-Man together or
Mhm.
X-Men or you know what I'm saying and things like that. And
Sure.
just same thing like you show well, if you'd like to make sure that your kids are well seasoned with things, you make sure that they know that music and good music and this you want to feed them all the good in the world. So the kids books at the conventions, a lot of the people would come up and they'd be with their kids, and I said, you know I want to make sure to put something out, one that the kids can walk away with something that's appropriate for them, and two that the kids could learn who these characters are, and the parents when they're reading the books so the kids know who the characters are, and they
Mhm.
can vibe with each other and enjoy the whole situation, and it's in the same
Wow.
universe, but very, very, very watered down.
Very
And
cool.
that's where the Border Pups came from.
That's
And
such a great intention, man. I love I love that I'm asking you these things and learning the stories behind it because I just saw the achievement, but not the inspiration and the motivation for it. So thank you for sharing that.
yeah, thank you for asking.
I love it. I love it. Um, and I saw this as well. There's so much like we haven't even scratched the surface, Brim, and I know you know that. And I'm so grateful and happy to have you on the show. I can't wait to even talk to you after we get off the air. But I saw that you have a Starbucks secret menu. There's a secret
Yeah.
recipe in Starbucks for you. I love that.
Isn't that
And
crazy?
that's
I thought
amazing.
they did it, and there's a Jack Daniel's drink for me also.
Yeah, I saw
Uh,
that one too. Where's that?
the
That's the Brimstone
Starbucks
Red.
one,
Yeah.
a barista made it up for me, and the Brimstone Red. The story behind that was we were doing a launch, for the what do you call it for one of the I think it was issue 6 of Brimstone and the Borderhounds in Manhattan, and I was doing it in collaboration with Esport, who I do my backpacks
Right.
with,
Oh
and
my God! Look
Bumblefoot.
Who you're hanging out with, Jose. Oh my God! I know all these guys.
Yeah, Jose Hernandez Jr.
Yeah,
What do you
yeah,
call it? What do you call it? Bumblefoot.
yeah.
One of my good friends still to this day.
Oh, so cool.
Bumbles. But the theme music for the Grindhouse Radio is Bumblefoot's little brother is watching, and for the Dirty Little Secrets, what do you call it? Club. What do you call it? Jesse's song. Our mutual friend Jesse Blaze Snyder.
Yeah, yeah.
I have one of his songs for the theme song for that. You
I
might
didn't
be.
know that. No,
Yeah.
Jesse. Jesse started the show with me. He used to be my co-host, or I was his co-host. We were co-hosts together.
Yeah. Oh, so finish this story.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we were what do you call it? We were doing it at this club in Manhattan, and everything was set up. And the people from Jack Daniels just happened to be coming to that location, I guess to do something during the day, or whatever it was, and they saw that we were gonna be there. So they created a drink for myself and for Bumble. And so it was
It's amazing.
the Brimstone Red because it was the new drink that came out, the Jack Honey, and what do you call it? It was earlier in the week. They found out we were there. That's what it was, and they were going to be there that day. And
Right.
so yeah, they made that for us, and then they made the Bumble, the Bumble shot or something like that. I forgot what it was, but
Right.
yeah. So that was the people from the distillery who did it, and
It's
it's
so
a
cool.
kick-ass drink. It really is.
Yeah, man.
So
That's so cool. And I
why
feel
not
like
share it, right?
I feel like your life again, that you're this embodiment of being in the right place at the right
Mm.
time, but not by chance, you know what I mean? Like by intention, like
Yeah.
you know, like through you just, you know, it's not like you expected to have that drink named after you, but you knew where you wanted to be, and that's where you were, and that's, you know, I love it, man. I am so enjoying talking to you. You don't even know. What else can I get to before again?
I'm here. It's up
My
to you,
show's
man. Whatever
usually
you
an hour.
want.
Fan art. That's freaking cool too. When we first did the live stream of consciousness, all of a sudden, like 2 or 3 weeks later, we got this fan art. Some fan Courtney had drawn Jesse and me, and I was like, oh my god, that had never happened to me before. Obviously, it's like old hat for you, but that's just so cool too. I mean, like different people just like drawing different representations of you in different styles, and
Yeah.
you know, I mean, it just kind of shows how you've made an impact, how your character, you know, what you were talking about earlier, the positive energy, the inspirational character. Even though I guess Janice was talking earlier about how the Iron Sheik was a villain, and he's the guy who kind of got you going. But you know, maybe your wrestling character had a bit of a villain in him, right? But there was
I
always
was like an anti-hero. Yeah, I was an
yeah,
anti-hero, and you know, it's at the end of the day, I'm blessed. You know, look, I've earned what I've received. I'm not going to say that I haven't earned it, because to be honest, I've busted my ass to get to where I am, and I still have a long way to go.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm very blessed to have you know have received so much love from so many different people, and to see the interpretation of me through so many different artists' eyes. And there's so many things that aren't even up there yet that I
Right.
still haven't even put out into
I'm
the ether.
loving the new AI stuff is
Oh, the
awesome.
AI stuff is insane.
And
I mean,
this right here reminds me. I want to make you blush. I meant to start with this, and I was going to introduce you as the Jason Momoa of Long Island, because I feel like you've got that energy, you've got that appeal. You know what I mean? It's like, you know,
I wish from your mouth to Hollywood's ears. I mean, I just came off. I did a co-star cameo on Billions on Showtime, which I finally was able to talk about. You know, and you know, I've got an Amazon film out right now that I did a quick cameo in, and what do you call it? A bunch of other films that are coming out next year that, you know, I'm super psyched about, that are on Amazon, and some other things. You know, but I would love to get some of those main roles where, you know, I can really show, you know, what I've got. And I'd love to be up there doing that stuff. I could. It's just a matter of getting the opportunity.
So let me ask you a question. Maybe we could kind of end with this, and I would love to have you back if you could come back, because I do feel like we've just scratched the surface. But is that where you're at now? I see that your acting roles, is that kind of what you're focusing on, doing some acting, or are you still just Mr. I do everything and I love everything that I do?
That's exactly where I am. Is I do everything and I love everything I do, and who I do it with. And I mean, I do. I'm very, very big with my shows. I do my weekly shows, the Grindhouse Radio.
Oh, we didn't even talk about those.
We're doing like 3.5-4 million listeners weekly worldwide on
wow,
Grindhouse Radio.
amazing.
Pop culture talk. You know, that's incredible. I do the Dirty Little Secrets Club, also on iHeart, Spotify, and all that jazz. I want to call her my sister, because she's my right hand on that show, Dana Pereira. You know, she's out in San Diego, I'm on the island, and you know, we do this every week with each other. And you know, I'm blessed to have such amazing co-hosts with her, and co-host Kim and Tom on the Grindhouse for 9 years. We're going into our 9th year, you know, doing the Grindhouse Radio.
That's great.
Voted best of Long Island 4 years in a row, you know, best radio station nonetheless. And we're a 2-hour podcast once a week. I do other couple of shows which are also on my site within Brimstone. You know, the Foxy Fox, a Big Lion Daddy show, which is a fun show. I'm my engineer's bitch on that one. I do a ton of voice work. Sorry, my voice is very, very scratchy right now. I'm you know, I've been nursing it for the last week. I'm a little under the weather, so I hope you guys will bear with me there.
No, you've been amazing, dude.
Appreciate it. You know, so the voice work, I do a lot of animation and what do you call it? Video games. I do commercial work. So I do a lot of stuff with my voice. So this is not a good thing. But I'm doing a character I'm really psyched about. This character Beazle, who I think is going to be huge. It's called The Brush Brigade is the name of the show. It's myself, Jason Font from Power Rangers, and a couple other really cool players. And what do you call it? Beazle is this little toothpaste looking character. If you actually if you're still on my site, you can go down to go under media.
Yeah.
And you scroll down to oh my god,
voiceover.
Yeah, voiceover work, and I can show you Beazle.
All right, let's take
a look. I can't even do it so well right now, but if you scroll down all the way to the bottom, so the third one in right there, that's actually the Brush Brigade. And what do you call it? So that little guy in the back, that's me. That's Beazle.
All right,
so I don't know if you can be able to hear it. No, I don't hear it.
It's not playing. Yeah, I don't.
Oh well.
I can't share the audio unless I set it up a little bit differently.
That was my new backpack. Have you seen those?
No. Yes, I have. I've seen it. Yes, I've seen it. I've seen it on Instagram. In your broadcast.
Yeah. My new backpacks. This is the commercial for my new backpacks. They're coming out with eSport in March. They'll be in Walmart.com, eSport.com. This is my second round of backpacks with eSport. So I'm really, really excited about it.
And they approached you. They said, "Hey, we want to do a thing," or did you approach them with the idea? Or
that is a whole story in itself. So my story with eSport, I had taken some time back when, and what do you call it? I had taken some time back when my wife was doing, she was doing, like what are they calling it, tutus and things like that, and what do you call it, like little barrettes, and she was doing little hobby shows.
Right.
So what do you call it, I needed to take some time off. I wanted to spend some time at home, and what do you call it, spend some time with her. So I told my director of operations at the time, I said, listen, I don't want to do anything on the road. Book me for some local what do you call it, craft shows. Just book me for some craft shows. He's like, no. What do you mean book you? You're Brimstone. You're not gonna. I said, do what I tell you to do. Book me at some craft shows. This is what I want to do. I'll go in with the comics and this and that, whatever. And anybody comes. All I want, just get the tables for her, so she'll have a table at the conventions.
Right.
And and that'll be that. Gave me a hard time. There's no way I'm booking you at craft fairs. It's not gonna happen. I said, Eitan, do what I tell you to do. Book it. Fine. Reluctant. Goes and he books me for a few. First one I did, I made a killing. It's crazy enough. So he's like, all right, well, yeah, that's cool. Second one I went to was at the Huntington Hilton, and what do you call it? The show was a little slower, and what do you call it? I was hanging around, and I got up and I walked away for a little bit to take a break, and I went and sat against there was a big corridor in the hallway, and there was a guy standing there, and we just started shooting the and I said to him, he says, I see what you're doing over there. He goes, those comics are so colorful and so forth. Can you tell me more about yourself, what you do? I told him who I was, what I've done, and he goes, well, I'm the vice president of eSport. Wow. So he's like, he loved the fact that I was there supporting my wife, and he was there supporting his with her new candle business. Wow. So had I not done a craft fair, I would not have met the VP of eSport backpacks, and we would not have put out our backpack, the first backpack line, which was my comic book print. All right. My comic book print, they went into Walmarts, they did eSport.com, all these different sites. And there were also the backpacks that friends of mine from Big Bang Theory liked. And then they asked me to send those out. And that was Raj's backpack on the back of his door. They were on Big Bang Theory since season 7. And since they had that, they asked me, Brim, can you send any other memorabilia that you can? And I sent a whole ton of stuff there. I sent they have toys, they have my backpacks, they have shirts, they have posters, the comics, my sauces and seasonings. You didn't even talk about that.
There's so much we didn't talk about.
They had everything there, and what do you call it? So that was all on Big Bang Theory. And had I not done, that one event, that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
So, so I, and now the sad part of that story, and they were very successful, by the way, but the sad part of the story is that Artie, who was the VP, had passed away.
Oh.
And it was very, very quick. He wound up getting he had brain cancer.
Oh.
Didn't tell anybody about it until last minute, and he died, and it was absolutely devastating. So it took a little bit of time before I reconnected fully with eSport. We were still friendly. We were still talking. They were still selling the backpacks. I'd be at San Diego Comic-Con signing, and people were walking by with my backpack, had no idea it was me. And I love it. I love that, because you don't need to know who I am to buy my merchandise.
Right. Totally.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I love the fact you put it in an affordable store. Yeah.
Very good price point.
It's an amazing story, and again, it really, to me, it validates the reason I even asked you to be on the show, because it's such an embodiment of being in the flow. Like, you're in the flow, right? You're in the, I don't know if you listen to or know who Abraham is, right? Esther Hicks is somebody who talks about, it's affirmation stuff and positive stuff that I find a lot of people need to listen to. I listen to it occasionally, and just because I want to hear what it's about, and I feel like that's what it's about. It's just about, like, knowing that everything is going to fall into place the way it does if you just show up as you and do what you're supposed to do.
Well, that's the first thing. Is the first rule is show up.
Yeah.
Show up every day. Show up. If you're not in it, you're not gonna make it happen.
Right.
If you sit there and do nothing, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
If you sit there and expect it to be handed to you, it's not gonna happen.
Right.
A lot of kids nowadays, and I hate to say it like that, but a lot of kids nowadays sound like my grandparents. They think it's all gonna come to them. Oh, I'm doing this, it's coming. No, bruh, no, it's not. You have to work for it.
It's like,
how hard?
I agree. Now you figured out what you want. Now the work begins.
Do you know how hard it is? How hard it is to do everything that you want to do, and then support it with social media and this and that and appearances. Dude, you listen, you're on social media.
Yeah.
You're on social media. How many likes and follows and comments do you get on a post?
You know what? I don't.
I'm not
tough.
judging. I'm saying,
tough,
how hard that is.
It is tough, and that's why I commend you. That's why I was so like, wow, look at the achievement and the level of visibility, and it's not even that. It's not about that. It's to me, not to me, to me, it's about the level of authenticity that you've achieved, and how it's manifested itself in your life as abundance. You know what I mean? And
it is the thing is if you want it to happen, you need to make it happen. There's no excuses. The only excuse is you. If you're not doing the things you want to do, if you're not accomplishing the things you want to accomplish, the only person that you can blame is yourself. Yeah. All right. Because if somebody gets in your way, I can't, and we haven't discussed it during this, and I'm not going to discuss it during this, but there are so many people that have become roadblocks that have caused me to swerve. Yeah. But if you can fall down a million times, I don't mind failing a million times. I'm cool with that. If I try something and it doesn't work, I tried sneakers, that didn't work. Unfortunately, I thought it was going to be great. It didn't work. But, there were a couple things that, at the end of the day, if you don't fail, you can't succeed. If you fall, brilliant, you need to pick yourself back up, dust yourself off, and step forward another couple of steps. Sometimes I'll take a step back to take 3 steps forward, because you need to learn from your mistakes. But if you're not doing things, if you're not working, if you're not busting your hump, it's not gonna happen. You can't put out a post in the world and think that everybody's going to see it. You can't put a comic book out in the world and say, yay, this is the best thing since sliced bread. Everybody's going to love this. No, they're not. Because one, you have your people that will find you. They will find you if you put yourself out there. Right. But if you put it out there and you don't do a goddamn thing, it ain't going to happen. Yep. You know what I'm saying? It ain't going to happen. So I always tell people, I say, all you need to do is apply yourself. And when you think it's not happening, it's happening. You can sit there and cry
So
and
true.
bitch and moan. Oh, I don't know what to do and nothing's working. And I tried this and I send out 1 million emails a day and blah, 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 blah. Guess what? All of that is working. And you know what else it's doing? It's giving you the experience that you need in order to build those blocks, to build the empire that you are growing. Empire. The Rome wasn't built in a day, neither will your empire. Okay. It takes time. You need to build the foundation. Then you need to build the walls around. And eventually, maybe you're going to build that throne and you're going to sit atop that throne and you're going to still be working your ass off because running a kingdom's so freaking goddamn hard. So the fact of the matter is just work hard, apply yourself, be kind, and that's the best thing I can tell you. Never take no for an answer. Even if they say no. I'm not talking about sexually, any of that crap don't do. I'm talking about
disclaimer.
I'm talking about pushing your way into the business.
No, you're making 1,000,000% sense. Yeah. And I gotta say, I don't mean to interrupt you because you are on such an amazing role right now, and you have just given me everything that I wanted from having you on the show. That passion, that message itself, it's what I believe, and that was great because all I had to do was sit back here and listen and let you do it. That was really that was amazing. Seriously, I ask people before I end the show usually, like, you got any words of advice? And I didn't even have to tell you. You just went exactly where I wanted you to go. And believe me, man, I'm with you 100%. And even knowing that and saying it out loud doesn't make it easy, right? It's still hard for you. You still have to intentionally put your energy into it, and you still need to make sure that you're showing up there every day. And I just love it. Tim is saying great advice. I've learned more from my failures than my successes. I'd be living my best life. I wouldn't be living my best life now if I was afraid to fail. And
here's a great, and that, thank you for that, Tim.
Yeah,
What do you call it? There is a nice way to put this. I years ago I was working out at a Gold's Gym, and there was a very, very, very well-known bodybuilder, right? And and he had muscles on top of muscles on top of muscles. And when we went, and we knew each other, not we weren't friends, but we weren't, we were acquaintances. And I said to him one day, as he's doing 10-pound weights, I said, why are you doing 10-pound weights? Don't you need to do more? He goes, at this point, it's all about the maintenance. Okay. Maintaining what you've got, building your kingdom, and then maintaining it. You know what I mean? Now that it's very, very important. And at this point, I've grown my castle. I built my throne. I've done all of this. And now I'm doing that and maintaining while I'm building a second castle across the way.
Nice.
And that's how you've always got to think forward. You've got to think big, and the only person that you can blame is yourself. You can't say I don't get any opportunity. Well, guess what? Have Google will travel. Go make opportunity. Get off your ass. Go out to an event. Meet some people. You're gonna meet a lot of fake people. Especially at the beginning. A lot of people who think that there's something. They might be nice people, but they're really not going to be able to do anything, or they don't necessarily have your best intentions in mind. There's this industry in general, and again, I'm talking about entertainment, but it's the same thing in business. It's the same thing in any landscape. It's all the same. It's a different field, same manure. You know what I mean?
Right.
Field, same manure.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I'm sorry. I'm going to shut up so you can ask questions or do whatever.
No. I listen, I'm, like I said, I got everything I wanted. You are exactly like I wasn't sure. Like I said, like, okay, he's this character, but like, I know he's also a human being, you know what I mean? And And I guess it was just kind of intuitive of me to be like, well, you wouldn't become this character and he wouldn't become who he is if there wasn't this underlying, foundation that was based in a lot of the things that I talk about and that we talked about here tonight, energy and just kind of understanding who you are, and going for it. And some of the simple things that I think were kind of, I don't like to use the word conditioned because I feel like that's putting the responsibility elsewhere, right? We've got to be responsible for it. But I think that we grow up and I don't think that it's common knowledge that it's really easy. You just got to do it. You know what I mean? It's and we don't know how to do it. A lot of people.
Nothing in life worth having is easy.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing in life worth having is easy. Remember that.
Yeah.
It's all, life is hard. Life is hard. It is what it is. Nothing that you would like to have that's worth anything is easy to obtain. Whether it's money, love, a good position, entertainment, whatever it is, growing, having children, making sure your children are good people. It's not easy. Life is hard.
Yeah.
If your parents didn't tell you that, old Brim's going to tell you right now. Life is hard. It's hard, So at the end of the day, you have to put your best foot forward and make it work. And if it doesn't work, then you try and try again, because eventually it's going to work. You throw as much crap against the wall as you possibly can, and it will stick. And the fact of the matter is that, if one, you don't have to stay in one lane. You don't have to stay in one lane. You could go in whatever lane you goddamn well please. All right. The biggest issue that people have with me is I'm too difficult for people to place. You know what I mean? Because I've done so many different things. It's hard to say, okay, well, what is he? And they usually they'll tend to go to wrestler right away. But
right.
I've also done a ton of voice and done of this and a ton of that. Yeah. So, there's
well, you kind of show up as like, well, what do you need? What do you need? If I don't know how to do it, I'll try my fucking hardest. I mean,
that's it. You tell me what you need and I got you. So, it's funny because, I do so many different shows and I took a break because I did them for where I was doing like 5 or 6 a week minimum,
wow.
And, to where I was sometimes doing like 3 a day. I took a little bit of a break. This is one of the first ones back. And, the fact is that, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort that you put into this and you putting it into your business. But I'll do a show with you here about consciousness. I'll do another show about wrestling. I'll do another show about business. I'll do another thing about, comics.
Right.
And I will give you details about each and every one.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I'm well-rounded, and I thank the Lord every single day that I'm well-rounded, and I can not only do Brimstone, but I get the business aspect of it too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people are shocked. They're shocked when I know more about business and can sell my way around an entire corporate, boardroom. then half of them they don't realize, because they go by the way I look. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know me personally. I'm a big guy.
Right.
I got the beard. I've got the usually the skull rings and my long hair and the earrings. And bro, I walk into a boardroom just like this.
Yeah.
And they look at me sideways and I walk out with a deal.
Right.
Because I'm authentic and I know what I'm doing and I make sense.
God bless you.
So that's what anybody who's getting involved in anything, in entertainment especially, know your business too, because otherwise you're not gonna move forward. All right, learn your business, learn contracts, learn how to read the dotted, read the small print before you sign on the dotted line. Again, I'm sorry, I'm going overboard here, but
You're not going to listen. You're not going overboard. I actually I just got a text from Jesse who's like, "Oh, I'm not on yet," and I got to kind of start wrapping up so I could
no worries.
go get him. But I mean, Brim, you are seriously more than I even imagined. I think easily at this point my favorite guest to date. Like there's so much in this, so much that I want to go back and watch and unpack. And I'm going to ask you to come back. I know it'll be tough. We can talk about it. I know you do so much. I didn't know this was like the first show back. I appreciate you giving me your time. And I do want to talk a little bit after I sign off the show. So I'm going to sign off for now, but I'm inviting you back. You're welcome back anytime. I think my audience loved you, and even Ninja Kitty said, "Oh, damn, he does look like Jason." So, you know,
Jason who?
whatever it
Oh,
takes.
Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
I guess that's a compliment. My body's not like Jason Momoa. If my body was like Jason Momoa, Jason took my role in Aquaman. I'll tell you that. I should have been Aquaman. It wouldn't have flopped as much as it. No, I'm just kidding, Jason. I'm sorry. Just kidding. But but I appreciate it. Thank you so much. If anybody's on Instagram at The Real Brimstone, that's where I spend all my social media time. You know, hopefully you'll follow me there, and you know, as long as you're kind, I'll respond. So
yes, totally. And we're getting the closing obrigado from Tim. Obrigado, Brimstone. I'm going to put you backstage, but thank you a million times, and I can't wait to have you back. And I'll talk to you in a couple of minutes. Let me just sign off my show.
sounds good.
Oh wow, guys, tell me that wasn't amazing, right? The real Brimstone. I just loved that interview so much. I loved talking to him. I loved him giving us his time. I loved everybody being here. This was a successful night for me. Next week I have a psychic medium. What do you know? Jeffrey Wands is going to be on the show. I'm excited to have him. Tim, thank you. Great show, brother. Always great to have you watching in the audience. Anyway, next week is Jeffrey Wands. I got to get out of here. I got to go pick up Jesse. I got to go talk to Brim. I got to be me. I got to do my thing. I'll see you guys next week. Peace out.